When you find yourself in a situation where you need legal assistance, one of the most daunting and oftentimes overwhelming tasks is that initial call to a lawyer to try to find somebody that can help you with your situation. Understanding the common pitfalls that people often make will help you better achieve the results that you want, which is an attorney to help you with your situation instead of spending hours on the phone, getting the runaround, not getting anybody to help you, and ultimately becoming frustrated. In today's video, we're going to talk about just that. We're going to talk about the pitfalls that are commonly encountered, and I'm going to give you advice as to how to properly speak with an attorney to get your point across and then hopefully find somebody that can help you with your situation. The first tip, and oftentimes the first pitfall, is that people who call attorneys don't know who they're calling. I mean that they don't do any research before calling. They'll type something into a search engine and they'll come up with a list of lawyers and they'll just start randomly calling those lawyers based on the way that they're produced in the search results. They never take the time to go to that lawyer's website to see if that lawyer can even remotely help them. Well, let's say that you have a real estate matter. You don't want to contact a family law attorney with a real estate matter only to find that the person on the other end of the phone can't help you. It's a waste of your time. So the first thing you need to do is to look at the attorneys that are coming up on those search engine results, click on their website, look and see if their background and their practice areas are remotely close to what your situation is related to. Now, I'm not expecting you to understand negligence or gross negligence or any of these different legal causes of action, but you have a basic understanding of what your issue is. If your issue is family-based, then you're not going to go to an intellectual property attorney. If your issue is litigation-based, you're not going to go to an environmental protection attorney. It's really important because it saves you a lot of time to do that base level research. Click on the attorney's website, see who you're calling, see what their practice areas are, and get an idea of what that attorney's practice is like before you make that call. Now that you've found the attorney that you're going to call, it's really important that you have a detailed summary in front of you so that you know exactly what you're going to talk to that attorney about. Take some time and write out a summary of the events that are related to your situation. Don't just make the call off the cuff and start talking randomly about all these different things that are going on, because the person on the other end of the phone is not going to be able to follow you. They're not going to know what you're talking about. You know because you're in the situation, but the person on the other side of the phone doesn't. So you have to be very clear and concise, and it is a critical task to lay out a summary of the events so that when you go through those events with the attorney, it makes sense. It's not missing facts. It's laying out as detailed as you possibly can an entire summary of your situation. It's going to better help the attorney analyze whether or not they can help you with your case. Now that you've done your research and you have your summary in place, now it's time to make some calls. Understand that when you call a lawyer's office, you are likely not going to be speaking directly to the attorney, at least not on the first call. You're often going to be assisted by a legal assistant, a paralegal, or a receptionist. And calling up with the expectation that you're immediately going to speak to the attorney is a flawed expectation. Most law practices will screen the calls to see if the people calling are able to be helped. Lawyers get calls every day, sometimes dozens or hundreds of them, that aren't related to their practice area. So there is an important task that law firms have of screening those calls so that they can assist those people that have issues or situations that fall within that firm's practice areas to the best of their ability. When you speak with that receptionist, paralegal, or secretary, you need to be very clear and very concise. Don't demand that you talk to the lawyer. Don't refuse to give information to the person you're speaking to. When a potential client calls a law firm and they go through that screening process and they say to the person on the other end of the phone, I'm not giving you my phone number, I'm not giving you my email, I'm not telling you about the details of my case, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be rejected. Your situation is going to be passed along because they don't have the time to have you speak to that attorney if it's something that the attorney can't help you with. So when a receptionist, a paralegal asks you the nature of your case, what are you calling about? What are the facts? Give me some details. If you refuse to give them the details, that firm is probably not going to help you. So understand that there is a screening process for most firms that you have to go through, and you should be clear, concise, expect not to speak to the attorney, be forthcoming with the information that you can provide to the person screening the call, because you will have the best chance of having your case passed through to the attorney, and then you'll have an opportunity to speak with him or her. Don't be surprised if it takes a day or two for the attorney to get back to you. That's just the nature of screening. Sometimes law firms will screen a caller and then they'll do some research or they'll ask for documents. So they need a little bit of time to do a little bit of research to have a better understanding of what it is that you need so that they can best serve you. Now, if you have an urgent situation and you explain that to the person answering the phone, sure, you likely will have a good chance of having an attorney call you back that day or as soon as possible if it's a matter that they can help you with. Another pitfall is not managing your emotions when you're speaking to the attorney. So let's assume that you've done everything right. You have spoken to the intake person, they've screened your information, and they have determined that they can help you, and now you have a call with the attorney. It is very common and human, quite honestly, to be overly emotional, especially when something is impacting you directly. Sure, it's a lot easier to be less emotional about certain things, like let's say you're buying a house. You're not going to be overly emotional about buying the house. You just want to make sure that the attorney is able to assist you. But let's say that you're being sued by your partner in a business deal, and you feel that you've done so much to help that business grow, and now that partner is trying to cut you out. And on top of it, they're suing you. You're going to have a lot of emotion wrapped up in that. You have to do your best. And I know it's hard. You know, it's very easy for an attorney sitting on the other end of the phone to tell someone, calm down, don't get emotional. Do your best to manage your emotions, stay calm, don't be overly aggressive or upset, because that call that you have with the lawyer, the purpose of it is for that lawyer to determine what kind of client are you going to be. Are you going to be somebody that attorney can work with and help? Do they believe in what your claim or issue is? Is it something that they feel that they can do a good job to help you with? Are you going to mesh well with them? Are you going to listen to what the attorney says? Or are you going to be somebody that is demanding or overwhelming or overly emotional or not rational or reasonable? While you're screening that attorney during the initial call, the attorney is also figuring you out to determine if it's a right fit. Because, you know, when you hire an attorney, it really is a relationship that you're entering into. It's not just somebody that's providing you a service. Especially if it's litigation, you are with that attorney over a period of months, and you need to be able to trust that attorney, and the attorney needs to be able to trust you. The relationship goes both ways. So when you speak to the attorney on the phone, try to maintain and control your emotions, because it will allow the attorney to better assess your case and better assess you, and hopefully decide that you are the person that that attorney can help and wants to work with. Lastly, don't argue with the attorney. If you speak to an attorney and you are explaining your situation to him or her, and they are telling you something that you disagree with, let's say they're telling you that they don't think you have a good case, or they're concerned over certain factual situations, or they're telling you that your case isn't worth what you think, whatever it might be, there's no point in arguing with an attorney. How are you starting a relationship off like that? Even if you argue with the attorney, and let's say hypothetically that the attorney changes his mind or her mind and says, okay, you're right, I'll work with you. Have you just laid the foundation for a good relationship? I don't think so. You started off on a bad foot. a relationship's going to fall apart and you're only going to be unhappy. So if you don't like what the attorney is saying to you when you make that initial phone call and you're speaking with that attorney, don't hire him or her. Go somewhere else. There are hundreds and thousands of attorneys in each state. Don't settle for one that you feel you need to argue with. There's no point. It doesn't help you. If you don't like what the attorney is saying, look for another attorney. Don't waste your time arguing with the attorney. Just simply say, thank you for your time, hang up, and then go through the process again and find somebody that you can work with. Listen, when you have a legal situation to deal with, unless it's something pleasant like buying a house, it's really overwhelming. I know that. And it can be a challenge to find the proper attorney to assist you. But if you avoid the pitfalls that we just talked about today, and you are open, you are organized, you keep your emotions in check, and you have an understanding of what the process is going to be like, you're going to have a much easier time finding the right lawyer for you, the lawyer that believes in your situation and can help you, and you're going to build a strong relationship with that person and hopefully have a successful outcome to your legal matter.